So in the previous video, we learned historical and philosophical backgrounds of classic economics. Specifically, their core assumptions regarding human behavior is that individuals are self-interested and rational when making economic exchanges. The idea of economic man was developed through reformation of Western Christianity. Adam Smith, a founder of classic economics, theorized that the natural force of free market interaction of self-interested individuals can lead to efficient allocative decisions and solve scarcity. On the other hand, since the birth of capitalism, many scholars have challenged the idea of economic man. If we accept the core assumption of human behavior that all the people are self-interested, people would not help each other. The main concern of these scholars is that if society lacks such morality, that society cannot be good. Actually, classic economists opposed to any social policy for the poor and marginalized people, including financial assistance to the poor. They have a philosophy called laissez-faire. It means let it be. So they just let people compete. Even if the society has a significant gap between the rich and poor, that's a result of competition. So they just let the gap be. This is an outstanding distinction between classic and neo-classic economists. While classic economists do not accept any social policies, neo-classic economists recognize the need of social policies at a certain degree. But it should be noted that neo-classic economists try to minimize social policies and follow their philosophy laissez-faire. Now we move to the core theory of classic economics rather than assumption. So how do they justify their position that interaction of self-interested individuals rather than government can solve scarcity? Before explaining their analytical tool of economic exchanges, we need to know a premise of the analysis, ceteris paribus. This is a Latin phrase and means that all other things being equal. Let's assume that we analyze association between price and quantity of pork. We assume that all the other variables or factors remain constant. For instance, the price and quantity of beef remains same. Also, price and quantity of chicken remains same. And then the government would not change any regulation for production of pork due to sanitation or health policy. This core assumption, ceteris paribus, is used in most fields of academia. For instance, in statistics, we may say the price of pork is positively associated with the quantity, holding other variables constant. Basically, without this premise of analysis, ceteris paribus, we cannot focus on association between two variables or three variables. This lecture will cover only one but critical analytical tool of economic exchanges, marginal concept. Marginal concept led to the evolution of economics in the 19th century. In the previous time, most people cared about total cost, but as we discussed, the main focus of economics is how people make decisions under a situation of limited sources. When considering that situation, we'll come to know we make decisions about buy or not, mainly based on what we felt or perceived about the last consumption, rather than what we've done for 2 or 3 years. It's quite difficult for us to remember what we did before. And the main contribution of marginal concept in economics is to explain a preferable situation where, while total cost increased, cost per unit decreased. So marginal means as a change associated with the last unit. the concept of marginal can be applied to many things, including cost, revenue, labor, happiness, or utility. Now we are seeing marginal cost. Simply saying marginal cost equals change of cost per one unit. You can see the table, and while total cost increased from $50 to $140, marginal cost gradually decreased. This explains a general fact that when we produce more, the cost per unit decreases. In sum, marginal cost shows that when we produce one more unit of a good, how much additional cost we should pay. The concept marginal can be applied to many things, not only cost but also revenue, labor, happiness, and utility. We are now seeing marginal revenue, and then marginal revenue means when we produce one more unit of a good A, how much additional revenue can we gain? And then calculation is the same. Now you might fill in the blank of this table, and it's quite straightforward. Okay, when we produce a unit of good A, total revenue is $80 and marginal revenue is $80. When produce two of units, total revenue is $140. So in this case, what is the marginal revenue? $60, right? Now when produce 3 units of good, total revenue is $180 and marginal revenue is $40. And further, when we produce 4 units of good, total revenue is $200. If that is the case, marginal revenue is $20. Again, marginal just shows that a change of revenue or cost or labor per one unit. So this is the marginal product of labor. This means that when we hire one more worker, how much additional units of good A can we produce? In this analysis, we are interested in productivity. So when we put one more worker, whether we can increase the productivity of goods. So the calculation is the same again. So you might calculate by yourself and then fill in the blank of this table. The most important marginal analysis for us would be utility. Utility means usefulness, or satisfaction, or pleasure, happiness. It depends on the context. In this course, we'll focus mainly on economic theories of human behavior because we'll learn application of economic theories to public administration. And public administration deals with whether public policy or program can positively affect human behaviors, and then how we can improve society, or how we can make people happier through that public policy or program. So utility is the most important unit of analysis. So marginal utility means when we consume one more unit of good A, how much additional utility can we gain? However, we face a serious problem when we try to measure a utility of people. Unlike cost, revenue, and number of workers, we cannot quantify the amount of utility. We cannot really know how much utility a person holds. So we need a theory or assumption about how people's utility change per consumption. So economic theory for marginal utility is called law of diminishing marginal utility. So law is, as a person consumes more and more of a good, the person will derive less and less additional satisfaction from each additional unit of a good, assuming ceteris paribus. Let me give you an example. We are so thirsty and we want to drink Coke. So we decide to drink a bottle of Coke and we drink it up. We are quite happy because we are so thirsty. But we are still thirsty, so we might decide to consume another bottle of Coke and we drink it up. We are still happy, but compared with our satisfaction with the first bottle, our satisfaction with the second bottle would be lower because we already consumed one bottle of Coke. And if we are still thirsty, we might decide to consume the third bottle of Coke and we'll drink it up. We might be happy, but our satisfaction with that third bottle of Coke would be the lowest amongst our satisfaction with the first and second bottle. So the law of diminishing marginal utility explains that when we consume more and more of a good, our satisfaction for additional unit will diminish. So this graph shows the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. You see, while total costs accumulate and continue to increase, marginal utility diminishes. In the daily life, if we are economic men, we will seek the peak of marginal utility rather than peak of total utility. This means that when we make decisions about buying or not, we'll see the relationship between marginal utility and the cost. If Cokes are free, we'll drink more. If the price of Coke is high, we'll consume less Coke. In other words, if resource is unlimited, people consume more. If the resource is limited, under scarcity, people consume less. In sum, as a general assumption of human behavior, economists theorize that people will make decisions based on the relationship between the price of a good and marginal utility with additional unit of a good rather than total utility. And this is the end of lecture. We covered these three concepts in this lecture 2, and you'll get the quizzes regarding these concepts. Thank you for listening.